All right, guys, so we are almost there. Now we can fetch the profiles of users, but we want to include the repositories as well. So what we need to do is go to our github.js file, and just like we made this await fetch request with for our profile, we're going to do the same thing for the repos. So I'm actually going to copy this line, and then we're going to call this repos or repo response, and we're going to change the URL up here just a bit. We're going to leave all of this, even the user, and then we just want to add on to the end /repos. Okay, now there's actually some parameters that I want to add here, because if we just do it like this, it's going to fetch all the users' repos, and I don't want a list of 100 repositories on the profile. So what I'm going to do is put a couple properties up here. One is going to be the count, so it's going to be this.repos_count, and I'm going to set that to 5. You can change it if you want, but I think 5 is a good number. And then we also want to sort it by, we want the latest ones first. So let's say this.repos_sort, and we're going to set that to created:\asc. And we can use these as query strings in our URL to format the response. So I'm going to go, let's actually do it before we put in the client secret and ID. So right after user, right after repos, where we have this question mark, right after the question mark, we're going to say per_page equals, and then we're going to put in the this.repos count. Okay, and then we're going to put in an ampersand, and then we want to do sort equals another variable, which will be this.repos sort, and then just put an ampersand here at the end, and then our client ID and all that. So that's going to be the URL. Now down here, we got the profile. We want to do the same thing with the repos. So I'm going to go ahead and just copy this, and then we're going to say repos equals await repos response. And then we're going to add that to the object here that's being returned. And by the way, doing this is the same as doing this. So let's go ahead and save that. And that should be all set, hopefully. And then we'll go to app.js. And we're going to go down to where we have our show profile. And we also want to call UI.showRepos. And we want to pass in data.repos, because now that should be part of the data object, because we're returning it right here in addition to the profile. So we now have data.profile and data.repos. All right, so now the last step here is to create the show repos in the UI class. So we'll go right below show profile. Okay, so that's going to take in the repos array. And since this is an array, what I'm going to do is initialize an output variable to nothing. And then we're going to loop through the repos. So we're going to use a for each. And in here we'll say repo. I'm sorry, we have to put a function in here. And then we'll put repo so we can access each one. And we're going to take that output variable and we're going to append to it with plus equals. And we want to use a template literal here. All right, so now for each repository, what I want to do is put it into a card. So again, we'll create a class with card, and let's do card-body, and let's do MB -2. Okay, and then inside here we're going to create a row class. And we're going to have 2 6-column divs. So div class equals call MD6 Okay, we're going to have 2 of those. And on this side, we're going to have the repository name with a link wrapped around it. So to get the name, we can simply do repo.name, and then we're going to wrap a link around it. Let's put a target of blank, and the link is going to be repo.html_URL. All right, make sure we close that tag as well. So that's that column. The other column is going to have a couple badges with the number of stars, watchers, and forks. So it's going to have badges like we did up here. So I'm just going to copy the first 3 spans right here and put them here. So let's see, this one will be stars, and this is actually going to be repo.stargazers count. That's just what they called it. And then we also have the watchers, so people that watch the repository, so that'll be repo.watchers. And then we also have the forks, so people that fork the repository, repo.forks, or forks count. And it should actually be watchers count as well. All right, so that's good. Now after the for each loop, so that it ends right here, we want to go under it, and we want to output the repositories. So we'll say document.getElement by ID, repos, and we're going to set the inner HTML equal to the output variable. Great, so let's save it, and now let's go back and let's put a B in here. Looks like something's wrong. Let's see, repos response is not defined, so it looks like I did something wrong here. And that's because I have an S in this one and not in this one. So let's take that S out, and we'll try it again. There we go. And now you can see we have that user's latest 5 repos. All right, so if we check out mine, and you can see the last 5 repos here, I should be able to go to my actual GitHub repository. And let's see, can I... Yeah, you can see Babel Webpack, Aurelia. I don't know why CI blog is on the top. Oh, because it was updated the earliest. But you can see Babel Webpack Starter, Node Text App, Adonis blog, and that's what we're seeing right here as well. All right, so our application is now done. If we clear this out, then everything should go away. All right, so I think that this was a good project because it gave you a lot of insight into things that we've looked at, such as the fetch API, such as promises, async await, classes, ES6 classes, arrow functions, events, pretty much, you know, all of the core fundamentals that we've gone through so far. So I think it's a good experience. This is a good application to learn with, and we used some extra files. We didn't put everything in the same file. So in the next video, what we're going to do is we're going to move on to another project using an API. We're going to use the W Underground or Weather Underground API, and we're going to create a nice little weather application where we can get the weather, we can get a little icon for whatever the weather is, and we can define the city and state that we want to get the weather for, and we'll save that in local storage so that when we come back to the application, it actually gives us the weather for that city and state that's been saved. So I think it's another nice application to create using an API. So thanks guys, and I will see you in the next project.